Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel with myself, North47, for some more of the Golf Club 2, or the Golf Club 29 even. I was talking about the Golf Club 2 earlier on in previous to recording this video, but today I'm back with another tips and tricks video, and it's all about how I personally play myself, which is number crunching and doing calculations for all shots, including putting and such. So when I mentioned there that I was mentioning the Golf Club 2, this is my third time recording this today. The first time the game crashed on me, and then just finishing up there a few minutes ago, I went to save the recording. I'd come up on just shy of an hour. I played the full course, and what happened was the PS4 decided to give me the lovely notification that there was not enough storage space. Unfortunately, I had not deleted quite a few videos, and then with all the other games installed as well. So recording it now for the third time. Not going to do the full course this time, just going to do the front nine. So we've got fairways and greens set to firm, and green speed set to fast. Time of day, noon, weather, clear, doesn't really matter with them. Wind speed is just going to be medium, sort of average conditions, and an easterly direction. We're going to play off the back tees, which are 7,017 yards, and we'll play, because it is Sunday, we'll play on pin set 4, those Sunday pins. So let's jump on in. Should load up fairly quick. It is my third time on the course. But yeah, what I want to talk about today as well, as I mentioned in my previous videos from the Golf Club 2, the previous tips and tricks ones, is this is not me in any way telling you how to play the game or what way you should play the game, or that this is the only way that you should be playing the game or can play the game. You can play the game whatever way you want, to be perfectly honest. You paid your own money for the game, you're more than entitled to play it how you want. You can play by feel, you can number crunch and calculate everything like what I do myself and what a good number of other players do, especially those who would be like top tier players on the likes of TGC tours and such. It'd be, I'm pretty sure that a good few of them at least anyway will be number crunching them all. So we're going to go through that today. I'm going to throw myself into a couple of horrible positions to show you what way, rather than feel, you can get yourself out of rough and bunkers. So wind is 11 miles per hour, a little bit stronger than it was a few minutes ago. Let me see. I don't think I'm not going to get over that tree, so I'm going to have to do something that I'm not very comfortable with myself. Put a bit of fade on that one. I very, very rarely use draw and fade in my shots. That's a good tee shot. It's coming around nicely. Actually, that's going to touch down cart path, is it? Go on. Nicely onto the cart path, so members bounce straight back into the fairway. So very fortunate there, to be honest. I should leave just a little flop shot in, I think, now, if not a pitch. Let me see, 51 or 50 yards to the pin, and it's up 3. So always divide your elevation by 3. So we're going to add 1 on there. So it's 51 yards to the pin is what this is playing. Not really too worried about the wind. I'll put it out a little bit to the left, as the wind might just pull it back a little bit. But what I'm going to do now, when you're lofting, if I fully loft this now, if I leave this as is now, and this was perfect wind conditions, no wind, that ball should carry 57 yards. Maybe about 55, 56 with the elevation being up a little bit. But if I fully loft and this is perfectly flat, that fully lofted shot should take me about 47, 48 yards. So we're going to see how that plays and hope. Well, I'll take it back a little bit, just a little touch, and hope for a little bit of hop and roll. I'm taking into account, I'm keeping in my head that hop and roll that the ball is going to take before it sits down. So good strike. Wind didn't really pull it across. Sometimes it can touch down at about 46 and stops at 48. So it's left me about a 6-foot putt, which it is indeed. That should be just a little right edger. Give it a 1 count. I'll go into detail on that now in a second. The 1 count that I mentioned there, what that is I mentioned this in the previous video. I think it was the Augusta National video that I'd done, or it could have been one of the TGC tours or Emerald Tour excuse me, videos that I did recently. A guy over on TGC Tours forums, known as Juicy Larry, he did videos on his Twitch channel. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel, but do go check him out on Twitch. It's Lazzamalone. That is spelled Lazzamalone, if I'm not mistaken. And he's done videos on this sort of counting method for the putts, and I'll try and demonstrate that here now with this one a little bit better. should hopefully have a good length putt. It is a par 5, so we can attack it in 2. Risk reward is very good, very high reward, very little risk on this one. We've got the bunkers, but that's what I always do with the par 5s. I will always weigh up the risk reward. So for wind, what will I do here now? I'll put this out about 10 or 11, about the value of the wind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know if the ball is going to pull around. The wind is going to affect the ball as much, but again, it works for a practice round. You can get a feel for how the course is going to play with these sort of conditions if you set it up perfectly for a practice. So 222 yards to the pin. It's up 8. We'll call it up 9. Add on 3. So 225 to the pin. Now with that wind, that should hold up and hopefully come up around about the front of the green and run up for me. Let's see how that goes. Good strike. Wind is bringing it around nicely, actually. Previous 2 recordings earlier on, it wasn't doing that, so that is going to run on a little bit, is it? That's going to leave me a very, very nice putt. That's even less. That's only about 5 feet there. So beautiful approach, actually. But it's not the best of demonstrations here. But I'll give a quick example of it. I'll go into put in practice. Here we go. So we're in practice swing here. Just imagine. We should get it now in a few minutes anyway on another hole. But just imagine this was a 20-foot putt, and it's down 1 inch. So we'd keep it at 20 feet. What this count is, what he talks about in the videos. I do believe Larry is actually his name. What he talks about in the videos, should I say, is as I said, just say for example this is a 20-foot putt. You've worked out your break and such. What you do is, a lot of people, what I myself used to do was, we just kind of say, okay, right, roughly that's about 20 feet there, so about there. But what it can do, or what you can do with this method is, you do a 2 count for it being 20 feet. If it was a 30 foot, you'd say 3 count, 40 foot 4 count, so on. So what you do is you go 1, 2. Be striking the ball on the T of 2. If it was a 40 foot putt, you'd be striking the ball on the F of 4. So again, that would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on. So let's say, well, it's not a very good example. This is just really just a little tap in. So we'll just get that in the hole and take a very nice short putt for an eagle, which worked out very well. That is one thing as well. Always take into account the firmness and the speed of your greens, as well as the wind direction. The wind direction can really affect the hop and roll of the ball. But always take into account that when you've worked out your distance to the pin, that's the distance to the pin. That's not where your ball is going to sit. So always keep that in mind. That try and come up that little bit short to take into account that hop and roll that your ball might take. I have been in the previous 2 attempts to record this video. I did bend it around the tree with the driver, but I think I'm going to take the 2 woods, take a little bit of a longer approach in. I could end up in the bunker here, but hopefully not. 5 wood might even actually be a bit better, would it? No, we'll go with the 2 wood. Fast backswing, so that's gone on a little long, I think. Yeah, I am bunkered here, I think, unless I get fortunate. No, rough, I think at worst. No, it's gonna die. So we're in the fairway. Thought it was gonna pull around a little bit more and go a little bit longer. So what we've got here now, we've got angled wind of 11 mile per hour, of 134 yards to the pin. Ball is slightly above the feet. We'll keep it at 134. It's only up 2 feet. So with that wind, I'm going to push that out 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But as we see, the ball is above the feet there. So I'll bring this back in maybe... It's not too bad above the feet. I'll bring it back in 2. So 1, 2. So 10 altogether out. 134. So I'm going to add on about the value of the wind. Just because of the fact that it's angled. So that'll be 136, 146. So 9 iron is the best club for me here. And I won't actually touch the loft, just on the off chance that the ball does get held up a little bit by the wind. So let's see how that goes. Great strike. It's coming around a little bit further, I think, quite a bit further than I wanted. And made it 137 yards total, and just kind of try to roll back a little bit. So a little bit of a lengthy putt, 11 footer, not too bad. I always generally like to try and be within about, be 10 feet or less to the pin. Now, what I'll do now for elevation is the elevation on the putts. If it's downhill, this is 4 inches downhill. I won't take off 4, I'll just take off 3. The marker has me default at 9, but I'll play this as an 8-foot putt. I'll have to reset that now in a second after I do this, but I'm just going to get down. If you did see my previous videos for TGC2, one of the methods that I do for putting is I'll line up the grid lines like so, the lowest point at the base of your screen, and then over at that left hand grid line running towards the hole. It gives me sort of a rough idea of how severe the break is. So what I do is I do that for each of them, and then I'll come back and I'll just trace in my head a line out. That looks to me like the ball is going to go. If I aim out to here, it should turn back to the hole then. So I set 8. We'll give it about a 1 count, but it's playing about 8. So let's see what a 1 count will do. So 1. Just barely caught that right edge there. So put it out just enough, and with that 1 count then. So that's sort of what he means by doing that count. And what you can do is you can take off, like other people might actually put a bit more break on that. Some people might have put it out more towards the green line. But with that counter method, you can actually take out up to 50% of your break, I believe is what he mentions in the video. So good drive off the tee here again. Wind is bringing it back. It should be okay in the fairway. Should kick right here for me. Just slightly. It's going to be on quite a bit of an upslope now though. But we should, I think, only just have a pitch shot in here, which we do indeed. It's not too bad. So ball is on quite an upslope and quite a side slope as well. Put it out a little bit. Again, wind shouldn't affect it too much, maybe just slightly. But it's 62 yards to the pin and it's up 8. I'm going to say it's up 9, and I'm going to divide that by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. So it's playing about 65 to the pin for me. With the with the slope that we're on, and with the way that the green is flowing, it's going to be running uphill towards the pin and slightly left to right. So I'll just put that out a little bit to the left, and I'm not going to touch the loft on this at all. With the pitch, I'm expecting this to maybe get a 1 or 2 yard hop and roll out, especially considering the fact that I am on quite a severe upslope here. So good strike on it. Gone a little bit further left. The wind did affect it, and it did come up a little bit short. So a lot of the time the wind doesn't really seem to affect it in holding the ball up. It can do, but generally I find it's really on the quite strong winds. This is only on a medium wind now, but it gives a little bit of a better example actually now. This does for that counting. So we'll just we can see it's left to right. Again, looks like it's only going to go up to about here. So it's up 3 inches. I'll add 1 onto that. I'll call it 4. So I'll add that on 19 feet. So I'm going to give it a 2 count. And roughly about there. So 1, 2. A little bit shy. Just missed on the inside there, but it was perfect weight otherwise. A little bit more weight, a little bit more than a 1. I'd say maybe he kind of goes into points then, so maybe about a 2.5 count, 2.5 count, or even a 2.2 count might have been perfect there. But you get the general idea. We'll have a few more examples anyway as we go on. And it works, if I remember correctly from his videos, he said, I think it's 60 feet onwards, giving it a 6 count. Judging by, if we, again, I'll just drop it down to a putter here. If we come into the practice swing, so say 6 count, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hitting the ball on 6. You can see like with the amount that the putter is coming back here, the variables for doing your, if it was say an 80-foot putt, doing an 8 count, it's not really, it can be quite hit and miss, I believe is what he says. But he does best describe it himself in his own video. So I highly suggest going and checking out his videos. Very, very good videos to watch. So what we've got here now, we've got par 3, 10 mile per hour wind in the face. With mid to long irons, what I'll tend to do is I'll add on the value of the wind. So a yard for every mile per hour. If this were to be a shorter one, and I'd be using a wedge or a short iron like a 9 or an 8 iron, I'd add on up to no more than 150% of the value. That's why I play a practice round sometimes as well, is to get a feel. Is that 150%? So say if it was still 9 mile per hour, if I add on 15 instead of 10, is that 15 going to be enough? Or is it going to be a bit too much? I might need to dial it back maybe to 12. So what I do here, as I say, we're going to be playing a mid to long iron. It's 200 yards to the pin. It's down 5 feet, so we'll take 2 off. Let's say it's playing 198. Now I'm going to add on 10, call that 208 yards. So I'm in between clubs here. I've got the 203 yard carry with the 4 iron. For me, that's going to be perfect, hopefully, with the firm fast settings. Running a bit left to right and slightly downhill. So wind should hold it up, hopefully just enough. Put it a little bit left and let the green flow the ball down to the hole. For me not to touch this loft and just play a straight up shot. Great strike on it again. Oh, it's gone a little bit left more than I wanted. Touches down 190, rolled up to 197, so a little bit further out than out to the left than I wanted, but the distance was pretty much bang on actually. So I've got a 19 foot putt. I'm going to take 5 off that, so say it's playing about 14. Marker is at 14 anyway, I think it was. Let me reset that. 15 it was at. So we'll just have a little quick look. Again, just with that initial bit of break, looks like it might come out about halfway. So let's give that a 1.5 count. So 1, and it's, as you can see there, I overcooked it. It skidded through the break, and that's one thing that he does mention in the videos as well, is that the firmer you hit your putter or strike the ball with your putter, the more break at the start of the putt that you're going to take out. So it's going to take a little bit longer for the ball to grip and take on the flow of the green, take on the slope and the break. So we'll just tap that one in there. We'll walk away with the par. What hole are we coming up onto now? I'm going to throw myself into, it's par 5 actually. We'll play this one aggressive. We'll play 6 and 7 as normal, and then 8 and 9. What I'll do is I'll throw myself into, on hole 8 I'll throw myself into the heavy rough, and hole 9 then we'll finish up. I'll throw myself into the bunkers, and I'll show you one method that you can use apart from just going by feel. But calculation wise, what you can do, and we'll finish off the video with a demonstration of that. Hopefully it goes well. So more than attackable, that's one thing that I do mention as well in the previous videos from TGC2, is with the likes of par 5s, weigh up your risk reward. So there's very little risk here, to be honest. We have got the bunkers either side of the green, but unless I severely slice it and end up off down here and have to get the scuba gear out, the risk or the reward is a lot greater than the risk. So I'm going to attack this one in 2. It's 223 yards to the pin and up 43 feet, so we'll call it 42. 42 divided by 3 is 14. So that is going to be 237 yards. 237 yards to the pin is roughly what it's playing. Now that, again, as I say, is to the pin. Add on that wind, add on about 10. And that's going to be, what did I say, 237, so 247. So 5 wood is going to possibly get on the green, but leave me a horrible long putt if I do manage to get to the green. Otherwise I could have just a little chip shot in. But I'm going to attack it. I'm going to club up to the 2 wood, and that's 253. So I'm going to crank the loft up a little bit on this, and I'm going to give it, it's dropped to 9, so I'll give it 9 out for the wind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And ball is slightly above the feet, so I'll bring it back in 2 or 3. Let's see how this one works out. Great strike on it. Wind did not take it. I think it's more so just because the severe upslope, the wind didn't get a chance to pull the ball around for me. So now I do still have a horrible long putt either way. Excuse me. Also as well, this video is based on master clubs. I do play on master clubs myself. So if you play on beginner or pro clubs, I don't know about the beginner clubs, but I'm pretty sure the lofting system for adding on or taking off yardage is pretty similar to the master clubs, but you may need to play around with that. But otherwise, say a stock shot on a stock normal shot on a lob wedge, which would be yeah, 94 yards. I'm on a lob wedge actually, which would be 94 yards. If I was to fully loft that up, that would take about 8 to 10 yards off, and same for the other wedges. And then it's more about the 8 yard mark for your 9 and your 8 irons. As you get to your mid irons, you're gradually going to come down, maybe about 6 or 7. Long irons are about 5, maybe at best 6, and similar again then for your woods and hybrids. But as I say, with the beginner and pro clubs, might just vary a little bit. It might be a little bit different. You might just have to play around with it and try that yourself. So I was on the lob wedge anyway, just to have a quick look at the initial break here. So 50 feet to the pin. Gonna take off 3 instead of 4, so 47. So the marker's dead on 47. Oh, excuse me. So a little bit of left to right, or right to left here. Should skid through that with the force that I'm gonna hit the ball at. And that looks to me like it might come to about here. Roughly about there, but all I'm wanting to do is actually just get this one close. If I drop it in and get the eagle, happy days, but otherwise just get it close and try and walk away with that birdie. So I'm going to give this one a 5 count, as it's closer to the 50. And let's see how that goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's taking the break. It's tracking pretty well. A little bit more out, maybe about halfway between that first and second green line. Would have been just nice, but now I've left myself with just about a 6-foot putt. 5 foot even for birdie. So just be careful, because these ones, these little putts always catch me out. But it should be just outside that right edge. Give it the weight to get there. Just about gave it enough weight there. So I mean, I didn't pressure myself there at all to get that eagle. I still got away with the birdie. I don't know if I did mention it there a few minutes ago, but back in TGC2 in the video that I did there, I did mention about one thing that Phil, aka Enforcer3891, what he did mention in one of his videos was, don't pressure yourself to make birdie on every single hole. Just play for par. Play for par on every single hole, even those par 5s. And what you're going to do then is you're going to take quite a bit of pressure off yourself, especially if you do play competitively, like I do myself on the likes of TGC Tours or any other society, even if it's only a casual society. I still have that competitive streak in me. But whereas if I'm going into a round with the mindset where I have to make birdie on the first, second, third, fourth, all the way through every single hole, that's going to screw me up royally right from the get-go. Going in with that mindset. Go in with the mindset of playing for par, and your main goal is just to keep the bogeys off the scorecard. And you will find that you will get a lot more birdies that way as well when you're not focusing on getting the birdies. Excuse me. So, moving on, hole number 7. We've got 112 yards, down 28 feet. So we'll round that to 27. So divide that by 3, it's going to be 9. So we're going to take 9 off. That is going to be 103. 103 yards to the pin is roughly what it's playing. Now with that wind, we'll say it's 10. I'll add on no more than 15 here. So I said 103, 118. We'll call it 118. So I'll club up to the gap wedge. And to be perfectly honest, just on the safe side, due to the elevation, the ball's going to hang up in the air a little bit longer. Just put it a little bit to the left for the wind. I'm actually not going to touch the loft, just on the off chance, because when I was recording the video earlier, it did come up quite a bit short still. So let's see. Good strike on it. I did hit a fast backswing, which I think helps mess me up on the last one. A little bit long. Can I come back? But 113 yards, and there we go. I've got about a 5-foot putt now, about a 5 or 6-foot putt again. So a little bit longer. It was 103, and then I don't know. 103 is what I was playing. But instead of adding on 12, the value of or 11, I'm getting tongue tied. The value of the wind. I'm confusing myself now with all the numbers. Yeah, it was 112 yards to the pin, then take off the elevation, it was 103. But instead of just adding on the 10, making it 113, if I'd have done 113, I'd have been well short of the green. So I added on those extra few. I added on just a little bit more as well, just with the fact of the elevation. So it went on a little bit further, but it did manage to come back a bit. So that's generally what I do, especially if the elevation isn't too much. I'll add on no more than 150, but I kind of get a feel for that with the practice round that I do. Oh, a little trip around the lip there on that one count, just about got it in. But yeah, that's what I tend to do personally myself, is get a feel with the practice round for how the wind is going to affect the ball. I'll always click on the event but not go into it, just to see what the conditions are, and then I'll play a warm-up round on those conditions and get a feel for how the course is going to play. Now let me see, is 2 wood going to be too much here? It might possibly run out, but we'll see. Put out a little bit for the wind. It is quite elevated anyway, the fairway, so it should be just about okay. Just about, just enough room. Okay, so actually yes, now what I want to do is I want to horribly put myself into the rough. Where will I put myself? We'll go over here. So let's see, we'll club up to, let's say 7 iron should be enough. 7 iron might actually even be too much with the elevation. We'll say an 8 iron. Say an 8 iron and aim it about there, I'd say. We'll go 7 iron just to be safe and carry that bunker. I'm nearly forgetting that that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're horribly into the heavy rough here now. Let's see what the lie percentage is. Okay, I just need to unlock my phone now for this one. Because what you can do... Oh, it's closed on me. What is my phone doing? The phone is deciding to have a mind of its own and not do what I wanted to do. Bear with me 2 seconds. There we go. Now we have it going. What you can do is, if you're in the light rough or anything like that, like obviously you can see your light percentage up there now, or the light percentage that I have here now, the top right is going to be 66 to 73%. So 73% is at best what I'm going to get out of this 73% potential from the shot. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go by feel and say, alright, it's 30 yards to the pin, down 7, so I'll say about 28 to the pin. Okay, it should come up a little bit short and run out and so on and so forth. I do that myself, depending on the lie. If the lie is, say, in the 80s, jumping up to the 90, I'll go by feel. But with something like this, another method what you can do is, what do we say, 28 yards. 28 yards to the pin with that elevation. So 28, I'll put this up on screen when editing, so you can see... so you can see what I'm actually putting into the calculator here, using a scientific calculator. I have been told that normal calculators work, but the one here on my phone, I don't have an actual physical normal calculator. The one on my phone doesn't let me do the percentage symbol and stuff. So scientific calculator is working best for this. So I said 28 divided by bracket and 73%. Close that bracket, equals 38. So what that's telling me now is 38 yards to the pin is what I'd need to hit. So if I club that up now to a gap wedge, that's 36 yard carry. But what I'll do is I'll still put on a little bit of loft, because I'm expecting a bit of rollout now with this, especially coming out of the heavy rough. I shouldn't get too much bite on it, or won't bite too quick. And we're on a little bit, well, I say a little bit of a slope, on quite a severe downslope. So a little bit more on the loft, and let's give this a full swing and see what happens. Oh, fast backswing, so that has gone on long, but it touched down at 30. Now, if I had gotten a perfect downswing there, it would have come up a little bit shorter, but the fast backswing helped to carry it on. So now I'm going to be cheeky, and I'm actually, no, I'm not going to go with a flop. I'm going to go with a putt here. I'm going to be cheeky and put it off the fairway just for a laugh. So it's 6 yards to the pin. That's going to be 18 foot putt. So with that 1 foot elevation at 20 on, so that's going to be 38, 36 feet is roughly what it's playing. Now I'll give this a 4 count. I won't bother going into too much detail reading the line here. I just want to keep things short and simple, as short as possible here. So I'll say about a full grid square is worked out. So what did I say? 4 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Took the break a little bit more and a little bit shy. Maybe a 4.5 count might have done there a little bit further out, but not too bad. I'll take the bogey. I want to be keeping them off the scorecard, but again, it's just demonstration purposes. So I'll throw myself into the bunker now on the next hole, finish this off. Let me see what is going to be a good bunker. Yeah, definitely that green side, but obviously even if I miss the bunker, then I'll just chip myself into it. But this, that's what I say, this is pretty much what I do for almost every round, unless I'm just killing time If I have half an hour to spare, and I'll go on and just play a couple of casual rounds, just mess around. That's when like I will still work out the elevation and stuff, but going into the things like bunker shots and stuff, I won't break out the calculator and start becoming a mathematician and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully the wind will hold this up enough and plop me nicely into the bunker. A short swing on that one. But this is looking good. Come on, get down. There we go. Plugged nicely into the bunker. So we've got, again, 62 to 70% lie. It's 23 yards to the pin, and it's saying up 5 feet. Now, if that's up 5 feet, well, then I'm a midget. Well, in all fairness, that's just the mound. The green does come back down. And so, yeah, 5 feet should do. But to get up and over, yeah, up and over the rough, that's definitely a lot more than 5 feet, but we won't worry about that anyway. So 23 yards anyway to the pin, up 5 feet. So we'll say it's up 2. So 25 yards to the pin roughly. So I'm going to put 25 in here. So 25 divided by, what's the best outcome? 70%. So 70%, close that bracket again. 35 feet. So I'm going to expect again, bit of hop and roll. And I'm going to take into account now what happened on the previous hole. Potential fast backswing. Might carry it on a little bit more. The green is sloping left to right, so I'll put it out. Take that into account. Wind hopefully shouldn't hold it up too much. So what did I say I was going to play? I said I was going to play the sand wedge. I'll put a tiny little touch of D-loft on it. Let's see where this gets us. Fast and fast, but luckily it didn't go on too far that time, and that's come around very nicely. So that's one thing that you can do. Is say you will have seen them anyway. I'll put those put the numbers about what way I tap them into the calculator while editing this video down together, or piecing it together after finishing up here. But I mean, like, there's, even with throwing myself into those horrible positions, still got a 5 under through 9, including a bogey, and that's the kind of score that when I'm playing in TGC tours or any other society event, that's a ballpark figure where I like to end up. I like to end up at best, or at least 5 under par through the front 9. I always aim for that sort of range, and that's exactly how I do it, by doing all those calculations, taking your wind elevation. I don't know if I did. Yeah, I did mention the headwind. Actually, I did mention on the 7th hole, with adding on for your short irons and wedges and stuff, adding on up to 150% the value. If that were to have been a tailwind, if I remember correct, the wind was 10 or 11 mile per hour. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, it was 112 yards to the pin. It was down 28. So I was playing about 103 yards to the pin. Now, if that tailwind was, or if that wind was a 10 mile per hour tailwind, if it was long enough where I was going to be using a mid to long iron or up to the woods, I'd take the value of the wind off, so I'd take that 10 off. But if it was only a short iron, like your 8 or 9 irons or any of your wedges, I'd only take up to 75% off. So instead of taking off 10, I'd only take off maybe about 7. Take about 7 off. So what do we say? 103 is what it worked out to be with the elevation. So taking 7 off that's playing 96 yards. I'd be playing that 96 yards. So what I'd play there then is, that's perfect for a lob wedge for me on the master clubs without touching any loft, because I'd be taking into account as well then that's a 94 yard carry. 96 yards is what it's going to play to the pin with that wind. So I wouldn't touch the loft. I'd take into account that 1 to 2 yard hop and slight roll before the ball is going to bite and check up, which would hopefully, provided I judged the wind perfectly and got a nice good swing, should sit it down right next to the hole. So that's one thing, if I didn't mention it earlier on in the videos, with your wedges and your short irons, take off roughly only about 75%. With the wedges, definitely up to 75%. Short irons maybe might need to vary, maybe pump it up to about 80% to take off, but don't take off the full value of the wind. So I'll say that's just a quick 9 holes. I had done the previous 2 recordings. The first time it did crash on me. The second one I did do the full 18. It was jumping on towards an hour long. So I think this video now is going to be roughly just over a half an hour now. I think about 40-45 minutes is not too bad. But unfortunately, I said I did save the recording, and or go to save the recording, and the PS4 gave me the message that I hadn't got enough storage. So I thought I'd just do the front 9 this time instead of the full 18. But again, as I did mention at the start of the video, also I know I'm waffling on here, but what I've spoken about here in the video. It's not me telling you how to play the game or how you should play the game, or that this is the only way that you can play the game. It's entirely not. As I said, you paid your own money for the game. You're entitled, more than entitled to play the game how you want to play it. Completely go by feel, or completely do, or try and do what I do and what a number of other players do, and that's number crunch your whole way through the round and work them out mathematically and dial those distances in. It's not an exact science. It can go wrong. I will admit that it's not 100% guaranteed. So do take that into consideration as well. But majority of the time, you can post some very, very good scores by doing this sort of technique and just seeing exactly how your greens are flowing as well when you're on your approach shots. So I'm going to wrap it up there before I do go on any longer. If you do have any questions, or if you feel that I didn't go into anything in as much detail as you'd like, do drop it in the comments or let me know in some way or another, and I can do another video and go into a little bit more detail on that particular aspect. But until then, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, do drop it a like, and if you're new to the channel or you haven't already, please do subscribe and make sure to click that bell icon. Keep yourself notified of when I do upload. And until the next one, I'm not sure what event I'll be playing, but until then, take care, have yourselves a good one, and bye for now.